Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, Escape from Transylvania. The goddess next door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Recently, so-called entertainer Kanye West decided to make a statement saying that slavery was a choice for black people. And your Kanye West made this statement under the guise of being a free thinker. However, when I take a critical look at your Kanye West, I don't see a free thinker. I see a con artist who is looking to hustle black people out of their money as he tries to promote his brand new album. Because the only reason why Kanye West made these statements talking about how he's a free thinker is because it's all part of a marketing stunt designed to sell copies of his brand new album. Now, when it comes down to celebrities like Kanye West, in most cases, most celebrities like Kanye West are slaves. And they are slaves to the white supremacists who control the entertainment industry. So when they say slavery is a choice, they are making the choice to serve those slave masters. And your Kanye West, in making the statement and saying that slavery was a choice, shows how much he chooses to serve white supremacy over the black community, and his compromise of ethics in an effort to sell copies of his album shows us how little regard he has for black people and black history. Because when I take a look at your Kanye West in this marketing stunt, he's so narcissistic and so selfish that he's literally willing to trample all over the history of his ancestors, all to get the sale of an album. Because for him to say that slavery was a choice was literally like putting up a middle finger in the faces of all of our fathers and grandfathers and great grandfathers who died during slavery. And when I take a look at this modern day slave, Kanye West, it shows me how little ethics this man has, that he'll sit there and say slavery was a choice for those who had no choice, because this so-called college-educated black man should know better than anyone else that slavery was not a choice. Was it a choice when a prisoner of war is sold by an African chieftain to a white man? No, there is no choice there. Was there a choice when that man puts a person on a boat in chains and has several guards there carrying muskets and swords? No, there wasn't a choice. Was there a choice when these individuals were brought to be sold in America? No, there wasn't a choice. And was there a choice when these individuals tried to rebel and they were brought down by a regulated militia of white men? No, there wasn't a choice. Now, many people tried to escape slavery, and some were successful and were able to escape to places like Native American tribal lands and places like Canada where there was no slavery. And those people, yes, they made a choice to escape, but they could not go out here and make that choice without taking dangerous risks. Because when there were slave rebellions, again, like Nat Turner's slave rebellion and the Stonewall Rebellion, there were militias of people who had weapons to put down those rebellions. Because those slaves, in most cases, did not have weapons to defend themselves. No, if they had weapons, they would have been citizens of this United States. And when it came down to slaves, slaves were considered 3/5 of a person under our United States Constitution before the 13th Amendment. That's something your Kanye West doesn't understand, because your Kanye West, a so-called college-educated black man, seems to be dumber than a box of rocks as it relates to slavery. And it seems like he's so stupid that he doesn't understand that it's hard to choose when someone is choosing for you, and someone can use force to make you do something, because that's what slavery is. Slavery is when someone forces you to do something against your will. Slavery isn't a choice, and that's something that your Kanye West doesn't understand, because he lives in an America where he decides he wants to be a slave to the entertainers in the white supremacist system, the rich people who a lot are the ones behind the manufacture and distribution of his records, because he's the one who actually is the one who chooses to be a slave. Because when I look at your Kanye West, how he chooses to be a slave is he wants to be this big time entertainer, and he's willing to make compromises to his morals and his values in order to be that big time entertainer. And he's willing to submit to those white supremacists and say whatever those white supremacists want him to say. And that's what makes him a slave, because when I look at him sitting here talking about slavery was a choice, when he's sitting here married to the slave master's daughter, Kim Kardashian, and doing the bidding of his slave masters in the entertainment industry, it shows me how much of a slave he is. And a lot of people, they got manipulated by that whole incident where he was in those TMZ offices, not seeing the bigger picture regarding it. Now, I could see the bigger picture regarding your Kanye West, America's new cream of wheat man, in what he was doing there, cooning and buffooning for Mr. Charlie on his platform, because he is no free thinker, because like Jesse Williams before him, he's sitting there on a corporate-owned platform making these statements, and there was no effort to stop that media from being broadcast. Because if he was actually a so-called free thinker and making radical statements, I guarantee you that tape would have never been played or broadcast on television. Because when it comes down to people who make radical statements, they're not even allowed anywhere near a mainstream media platform. And that's something, that I saw with Jesse Williams, and I also see it with Kanye West. And when it comes down to these Afro-American Negro entertainers, in most cases, all of them are slaves, all of them are owned by Big Six media, and when you see them talking about how they're going to be so-called free thinkers, that's something that was orchestrated by an agent, a publicist, or an AR guy who was working in the record industry in the hopes of generating sales with people who will think that Kanye West is some sort of edgy guy, when in actuality he's nothing more than another tool for white supremacy. Because when it comes down to real edgy people, their stuff is not sold in mainstream stores. No, when it comes down to edgy people, their stuff is on the fringe. And you wouldn't hear about that guy unless he was on the outside or from outsider people, like people in places like the goth subculture or people in realms like the comic book world. Now, those are outsiders, and those are people who would pretty much be on the ones who would know about something that really is out there. Now, but your Kanye West, he's sitting there on a mainstream platform. He's nothing more than a tool presenting himself as edgy by saying that slavery was a choice, when the great irony is he's one of the biggest slaves on the plantation. And he's hoping to audition to be the far right's new Rastus, the cream of wheat man, by going out here and making these radical statements, but showing us all who the slave truly is, because he is the one who is choosing to be a slave and parroting things that sell white supremacy to the world by promoting a statement that says slavery was a choice, when in actuality, if you look in one history book for an 8th grader, you'll see that slaves did not have a choice in their own oppression. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you are trusting my SJS direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.